stay tuned because for the next 60 minutes, Motorsports Unlimited is on the air. Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant, and these are the lovely ladies of motorsports. And all this hour, we're going to have 60 minutes of action-packed excitement. All kinds of exciting things will happen. And we got the famous Bill Wildt, and we got all kinds of other good stuff that's happening all this hour. Motorsports Unlimited, 60 minutes of non-stop action. So let's go to the studio right now, huh?
Thanks, Jerry, and hi, everybody. Welcome to the studio headquarters of Chicagoland's most watched, most talked about Access television series. I'm Samantha Bentley, and this is the 1099th edition of Motorsports Unlimited. Guess what? After missing a motorcycle road trip in 2007 because of Bill's back surgery, we got one in this year, 2008. That's right. Despite concerns about his back, Bill pulled it off. As always, his trips have a purpose. This one was designed to show you a part of motorsport we haven't shown you before. People who are enthusiastic about certain kinds of vehicles often attend an event created to attract these vehicles and their devotees. It might be traditional American street rods, or dune buggies, or Henry J's, or Jeeps, you name it. The internet has made this kind of activity even more likely. A forum is created, and before you know it, participants are saying, "Hey, we ought to get together in person." One of Bill's bike is a very special Suzuki GSX1100G. And as it turns out, there is a web forum for people with these motorcycles, and they hold a couple of rallies every year. Bill decided he wanted to attend and thought it would be a perfect opportunity to show you how all this works. Let's join him and a surprise passenger as he explains.
Well, once again, it's the start of another Bill Wildt motorcycle road trip adventure. And what I mean by adventure is I've been trying to get underway here since 8 o'clock this morning. Those that have followed my other motorcycle road trip adventures know that I just can't seem to get going in the morning for whatever reason. I wanted to get out of here by 10. It is now almost 2 o'clock, and about a half an hour ago, it started raining. We've got when I say raining, just drip drops, but it looks like it's going to start really raining. I checked the internet. Looks like we've got rain on the way, so I really want to get going and get south and get out of here, except I can't seem to get underway. If you remember the Kansas trip, I had to come back 3 times. Once because I forgot a battery charger, and about a half an hour down the road, I remember I didn't take any money with me, and there was something else. Anyhow, 3 times. This time I am determined to have everything I need when I leave. And so we were all ready to go and get started, and we had a video equipment failure. So I had to kind of start all over again, which is what I'm doing now. We'll see how this is all going to turn out. Our regular viewers are going to notice that I've got a different motorcycle with me. The other road trips I took, the one to New York, the one to Kansas, and the one to Ohio, we're all on the Suzuki GSX1100G. This is my Suzuki GSX1100G, much larger motorcycle, and it's equipped with those. We did a whole program about it where I took the J.C. Whitney trunks and made a J.C. Whitney trunk and bag arrangement out of the whole thing, which is one of the reasons I want to do this trip, is I want to test all this. Now, something else is different for this trip is I've got company on this one. Little May Chen has convinced me to take her with. You said you wanted to go, right?
Definitely.
And I said, I'm afraid you're going to spoil my trip.
And I'm not going to.
Well, we'll see, because I actually do enjoy traveling alone. Everybody's always asked me how come I went all the way to New York and Kansas and all that by myself on a motorcycle, and I really enjoy it. There's a sort of solitude to it and all that, and what have you. Anyhow, I think it also might be fun to have some company, and May assures me she's not going to spoil it, right?
Right, but I do have to go to the bathroom.
No, there's not going to be bathroom stops. We're all... What?
There has to be.
Well, we'll see. I can see it's going to be a disaster. Anyhow, what we're doing, what this is all about, this trip is all about, this particular motorcycle has a strong following. These machines were made from 1991 to 1993, and I'll explain a little later on how it all came to pass and all that. They were only made for 3 years, and even though that was many years ago that these things were made, they have a strong following, and there's actually a group on the internet called the GSX1100G Forum, and every year they have a rally, a get-together, and And last year I wanted to go, and because of my back surgery, I couldn't do it. So this year I'm going to give it a try. I hope I'm not biting off more than I can chew. Hopefully it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun if I ever get going, right, May? But it sure has taken a while.
Definitely,
Yeah,
right.
it really has taken a while. By the way, do you want to apologize right now for those socks, or you just want to not mention them?
Love them. They're really pretty.
Yeah, exactly. I know the trip is going to be ruined. I know what's going to happen. Anyhow, we've got a lot to explain as we go along here now, but I want to get underway before it starts raining again. I checked the internet, and the rain looks like it's coming into the Chicago area, but we're going south, so it looks like it's going to be okay going towards the south, so I think we ought to hit the road and get underway. What do you think?
I agree.
You're ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're ready. This will be the fourth? We did the New York trip, we did the Kansas trip, and we did the Ohio trip. This will be the fourth Motorsports Unlimited motorcycle road trip. So I hope you're going to enjoy it along with us.
Poor Bill. It happens every time. He tries to get going early. 10 a.m. is early for him. But one thing after another seems to work against him. He says it's some sort of conspiracy. Hi, I'm Janine Lauschat, looking forward to seeing where Bill is taking us. He's very secretive about destinations, even with us. He says the pleasure is in the ride, not the destination. And if you know the destination, you'll be thinking about that and not the ride. Speaking of riding, it's time to ride.
Well, I can't believe it. We're finally getting underway. At least I hope we're getting underway. I'm still remembering the Kansas trip where I had to come back 3 times. Now, normally, I won't say normally because I've done it differently every time. Most of you know that I don't like using the interstates because they're not particularly interesting for travel. They're great for commercial travel, but they're not really interesting for pleasure travel. We're going to be heading south out of the Chicago area. And normally what I would do is to work Manheim Road south and get over to Wolf Road and take Wolf Road all the way down to Route 30. Wolf doesn't quite go to Route 30, but it's sort of convoluted down there in the Willow Springs area. It's a very, very pretty ride. We're getting going so late here today. It's after 2 o'clock and I wanted to leave by 10. We're getting going so late here today that I'm going to take advantage of the interstate a little bit. I'm going to jump on 294 and take 294 to get around the south side of Chicago, and I'll probably get off at take 294 to 394 and 394 down to Route 30, and then I'll talk a little bit more about where we're going to go from there. So right now I'm going to sign off, concentrate a little bit on making a little distance here. I also have one other thing to do, is I want to kind of stop en route and check the hard bags and everything I put together for this trip, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, because it's the first time I've used it for a trip like this, and it's always a good idea to double check things. Anyway, we are finally on the way. It's not raining right now, but it sure looks like it's going to rain, and I'd like to get further south because according to the internet, it's clear further south.
Proceeded south on Manheim Road and jumped on 294 South off the Eisenhower Expressway. We traveled a few miles when Bill pulled into the Hinsdale Oasis to check everything. It wasn't for me, honest.
Well, I think I'm going to dump her here. That's just about enough. I thought we said no bathroom stops.
I haven't gone to the bathroom yet.
I'm only teasing you. I'm making it like we stopped at the Hinsdale Oasis because you had to go to the bathroom, but that's not why we stopped, is it?
No,
Why did we stop?
to to shoot some pieces.
No, we stopped here because I wanted to make sure everything was still holding on like it's supposed to hold on. As I said at the beginning, this is a different bike than I used for the other road trips, a different saddlebag and trunk arrangement. And as a matter of fact, it's the little things that you don't even think about that you end up getting concerned about. I didn't really come up with a good way to hold the tripod on, and I'm a little concerned about that. It seems to be working okay, but I'm going to have to come up with something better because I don't like it if I have to think about something all the time, right?
Right.
And right now you have to kind of lay your fingers on it to make sure that and assure me that we haven't lost it.
Yes.
Okay, but everything else seems to be set up and arranged correctly.
Right.
And where are we?
Hinsdale Oasis.
Hinsdale Oasis. We're at the Hinsdale Oasis. We've gone about 15 miles, and actually it seems like maybe it's not going to rain. It seems like it's warming up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so we're still having fun. We're still looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it.
But it's time to get going and stop all this stopping and screwing around, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I know. This way, I often get calls and emails from people that say they really want to go with me on the next trip and everything. I think after they do this with me once, it'd be the last time, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
No, come on, this is a pain in the neck, stopping and taping the pieces and checking what we taped and all, isn't it?
But we just got started.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll see how she feels in a couple of days. Anyhow, we're at the Hinsdale Oasis, and it's a lot later. What time is it now? About 3 o'clock?
Almost 3.
Almost 3 o'clock, and I wanted to leave at 10 this morning, and we've gone all of 15 miles.
May is going to clobber Bill before this is over. I can see it coming. Anyway, after checking everything over, it was time to make tracks. I sure wish I knew where they were going. I think he's wrong about this. It wouldn't spoil the fun if we knew where he was headed.
Boy, the Hinsdale Oasis is absolutely jammed. I'm really surprised. It's got to be a good business.
Would get a little more helmet cam footage while riding, but we were already so late, he just wanted to lay his ears back and go for a while. We continued south on 294, and as we approached Indiana, he turned south on 394. He wanted to get off the interstates and onto Route 30.
All right, we're on 394 headed south now. As a matter of fact, there's Route 30. That's what we're looking for. It's time to get off the hold on. It's time to get off the interstates. Yes, you can make time, but it sure is boring. And now that they're all under construction, I'm not even sure how much time you can make. Let me take just a moment to comment about the roads in Illinois, at least in the Chicagoland area. The winter of 2007-2008 was the first real winter in at least a decade, probably more. The potholes and pavement buckles are the worst I've seen. I think what might have happened is we've become so used to mild winters, we've lost our ability to respond quickly to badly degraded road conditions. I'm not surprised the roads deteriorated so badly because of the extreme weather this past winter. What I am surprised about is how slow the response has been to deal with it. In some areas, the pavement is so bad, I would call it an emergency situation. In addition to vehicles being damaged, I have no doubt accidents are happening because of the poor road conditions. I'm surprised an emergency situation hasn't been declared. It's definitely not business as usual road repairs that are needed. It's time for leadership to step in and say, these roads have to be repaired now. That means significant resources have to be devoted to making the roads safe again. I would suggest road inspectors conduct the inspections on motorcycles because they are more sensitive to the road surface. There is a pavement buckle on Mannheim Road so severe a motorcycle traveling within the speed limit can just about get air under it. In biker language, that means it's a jump. It may sound funny, but it's not funny if it catches you by surprise. There are many scrapes across the top of it from the undercarriage of cars making contact, and there are always hubcaps along the roadside that were violently jarred from the wheels they once occupied. While we can speculate about how much vehicle damage this buckle has caused, it's alarming to think about how many drivers may have lost control because of the severity of the impact. This buckle isn't new. It happened during the winter, but June will be here in a couple of days, and it still receives no attention. I don't have to make this case. Everyone in the Chicagoland area is talking about the problem this year. Some of the underpasses look like we're in a third world country, yet here we are approaching summer, and while normal, planned road repairs seem to be happening, I don't see it being treated as an emergency that I believe it is. Anyway, enough of the soapbox. If community leaders are watching this, you should know this is a topic of much discussion among your constituents. We know the winter was bad, but the roads really need immediate attention.
I always think of Route 30 as an interesting road. In a way, it kind of reminds me of Mannheim Road, just outside of Chicago. Not that they're even remotely similar, they're not, except that I find them both interesting. US 30, in some senses, is almost interstate-like. It's straight, smooth, and flat. But on the other hand, you go through farms, as we are now, this is working farms. You go through farm areas, you go through industrial areas, you go through shopping areas, and it reminds me a little bit of Mannheim Road, which can vary anything from McDonald's and Wendy's to nightclubs, everything in between. I find them both interesting roads to ride on. Like I say, unlike the interstates where everything is by design exactly the same, everything here is continuously different, continuously changing, and yet you can still make really good time. And now we're entering Linwood. This is the last town in Illinois as we continue east on Route 30. I believe it goes Linwood, State Line, Dyer, Indiana. I'm pretty sure. Take a look. Yes, May is saying lots of traffic here, and she's right, because we're right now just about 4 o'clock, so we're into the serious rush hour. Now, if I could have just gotten started earlier like I wanted to, it wouldn't have been bad. Now typically what I do is I will stop here and do a stand-up piece in front of the Indiana State Line sign right over here to the right. I hope the audience can see that. But traffic is so heavy right now, I think discretion is the better part of valor. We will just pass on by it and make note of it. Sometimes you, as hard-headed as I am about getting the pieces I need, we've stopped there many times and shot pieces. I've kind of suggested this may be the gateway to the east as far as those of us in the Chicago area are concerned, assuming you don't want to use the interstates. US 30 is the gateway to the east, and going through Linwood, Illinois and Dyer, Indiana, and hitting the state line between the two of them is that gateway to the east I'm talking about. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop taping now, because this looks like this is going to take some time, and we'll be back later when we encounter something interesting.
Of course, rush hour in Dyer, Indiana is a little different than rush hour in Chicago. Still, it can be aggravating. After they worked their way through it, Bill, once again, laid his ears back and put on some miles. As they got into Maryville, May started asking about where the Ponderosa, at which he always used to stop, was located. He knew what she was getting at. They hadn't eaten all day, so when he got to 55, he turned south to Crown Point.
Well, May talked me into it. We were nicely going along east on Route 30, and she said, Bill, isn't Crown Point along here somewhere? And I knew what she was getting at, and you'll see in a moment. Ponderosa. Since Indiana lost public access television, I don't get a chance to get down here as much as I used to. But May's a little hungry. She insists, though, that this is not because she has to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to make sure she doesn't use this as a bathroom break. Right, May? This is not a bathroom break, right?
No,
No, it's strictly for eating.
I like to eat at my native state.
You what?
My
You have to
native
speak up.
state. I'm a Hoosier.
Oh, okay, that's right. May is a Hoosier, so she wants to eat in her native state.
I admit it. I did use the restroom while we were inside, but that doesn't count because we were stopped anyway.
Well, I asked him in there, and I can't leave her here, so apparently you got to stay with me. Even though you actually did use the bathroom.
Well, we were
I knew
eating,
you were going to ruin the trip. I knew it.
but we ate and used the bathroom, so therefore we could do two things on one stop. So therefore,
You don't count it.
no.
No. Okay, well, all right. I got to keep her with me anyhow because they won't take her. We got our bellies full now, and once again, running way behind, as always happens to me on the motorcycle road trip. It's what now? About 20 minutes after 5, and I don't know where. It's 20 minutes after 5 Chicago time, and I don't know where the Indiana time changes. We're in Indiana. Matter of fact, we've only gone about 60 miles. You know, we've been at this all day. We've only gone 60 miles, May.
That's really slow.
Yeah, we better get some time. We better get some miles going here. And by the way, one of the things May and I were talking about while we were eating, one of the things, in order to make these things enjoyable, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like to take the interstates, is as we were coming down here and on the way back, because I had to come a few miles south off of Route 30 to come here, on the way back, we both noticed on one of the lawns, not a huge thing, but a person went through a lot of effort to make a big, I'm going to guess plywood, I don't know, a monarch butterfly. We both noticed it was quite pretty, wasn't it?
Yes, very.
Yeah, so these are the kinds of things that you really have to take the time to notice to enjoy a road trip, particularly a motorcycle road trip, because you're so involved with the environment and all that. And if it's where I think it was, on the way back to Route 30, I'm going to stop and take a picture of it so I can show it to you. It's just one of the, the pleasure of these road trips is not huge things. It's little things like that. Somebody went through an awful lot of trouble just to have something pretty, I guess you could say, in their front lawn. And I thought it was pretty cool, and apparently May did too. She noticed the same thing. So we'll see if we can spot it on the way back. Anyway, we better get going. And like I say, I cannot believe we've only gone 60 miles. We've been at this all day. But that's okay. It's not about getting someplace fast. It's about enjoying the trip. And so far, what do you think? You enjoying a motorcycle road trip?
A lot.
Okay. Because as a matter of fact, you never even were on a motorcycle before you met me, right?
I might have been once.
You might have been once? What
It's
does
been
that
so long ago. It's way, way, way back when.
Okay, how old were you?
A child, like 2 or 3.
Oh, well, I guess you wouldn't remember that. Anyway, we better get going. We've got to get back to Route 30 and then continue east. And by the way, the smart money to go where we're going would go east here on US 30 and get to I-65 and take I-65 south. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pass right by I-65 and continue on to Route 31 and take 31 south because it's a really, really nice ride. Hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit of it.
Bill was serious about finding the monarch butterfly display. He and May both noticed. Let's see if they find it.
me, it might be a good time to remind the audience about the objective of this trip. The bike I'm riding is a 1993 Suzuki GSX1100G. It was only made for 3 years from 1991 to 1993. It is widely considered to be the highest performance touring bike ever made. It features an upright riding position, referred to as a standard these days, and a shaft drive. It boasts more horsepower than many cars, yet is silky smooth. It wasn't a hit in the marketplace for reasons we'll discuss later, but for those of us who enjoy this type of machine, there is, to this day, nothing else quite like it. There is an internet web forum devoted to these bikes, and the participants are holding a rally in a couple of days, and that's where we're going. This kind of activity is not unusual in the motorsport community. There are many events of this kind devoted to just about any kind of vehicle or vehicles that have acquired a following. I thought you'd enjoy seeing how it all works. Of course, as I've so often said, a motorcycle road trip is as much or more about the ride as it is about the destination. So let's not worry about the destination for now and enjoy the ride.
Well, I saw it. I saw the monarch butterfly that we were talking about. So we'll make a quick turn around here. I'm probably making a bigger deal out of it than it is, but the point that I'm trying to make is that trying to keep out of the mud. The point I'm trying to make is that the joys on these road trips are sometimes very small, but don't ignore them. They're also pretty cool. Well, I can't believe how heavy traffic is. There it is, right over there. I think it's beautiful.
We stopped and took a still picture. There didn't seem to be any reason why it was there, but it was cool. After that, we got underway again. We proceeded east on Route 30, past Route 41 South, past I-65 South, and finally we were approaching Route 31, where Bill wanted to head south.
Here's what I'm looking for, 31 South to Indianapolis. But we're not going to Indianapolis. But I am looking for 31 South. How you doing back there, little May?
I'm doing fine. It's kind of windy though.
You better yell, they won't hear you.
Kind of windy.
Yeah, it's kind of windy at 70 miles an hour, that's for sure.
Chilly too.
You're cold now?
A little bit.
Alright, well, we've gone about 122 miles. So when I see a gas station, we'll stop and fill up and we'll get a sweatshirt on. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Where will we be at 122 miles?
I'm sorry?
Where will we be?
Where will we be? Well, we're here. We're at 122 miles now. What's your question?
Oh, I thought you said we had to go another 122.
No, I said we've gone, no, we've gone 122 miles.
Oh, but we're not even halfway there.
Oh no, we got quite a ways to go. Long way.
Okay, I'm going to play for a second.
Okay, she says she's going to pay for a gas station. I want to interrupt for just a moment to explain. I know watching some of the helmet cam footage can be tiresome, particularly in areas where the terrain isn't interesting, but I do it for a reason. This is coverage of a motorcycle road trip. It's true we stop along the way and talk about things that catch our eye or contribute to the story of the trip. It's also true we have an objective in mind, in this case, the G-Man Rally. The temptation would be to show us pulling away from the place we started, then dissolve to the location of the rally. But that's not covering the road trip. The ride is as important as the destination, and I want that to be prominent. The problem is, it's television. You can't feel the wind blowing through your hair. You can't feel the sun baking your arms. You can't smell the aromas that make up so much of how we sense things. We are limited to video and audio. It can be very frustrating. The ride is such a delight in person. Yet, when I review the footage, I realize television doesn't do justice to the experience. It's quite a dilemma for a storyteller. I don't have any magical solutions to this problem except to encourage you to use your imagination. Try to think of the wind engulfing you and the sun warming your exposed skin. Try to imagine the aromas that might be present in the scenes. In a way, it's a little like reading a book. We can bring you the video and audio portions, but you have to fill in the blanks with your mind. And I hope you do. This will become even more difficult and I think fun when the terrain changes. And to enjoy the undulating countryside, you'll have to try to imagine the pull of gravity as we bank left and right and go up and down the hills. I'll bet you never thought television would be that much work to watch, but trust me, it'll be very rewarding. In this series, within Motorsports Unlimited, you will truly accompany us on the trip. Sometimes that will mean being caught in traffic. Sometimes it will mean being out in the middle of nowhere looking for a gas station. And sometimes it will mean enjoying some of the most beautiful scenery you can imagine. And that's why we ride, to find those places that bring us such joy. Bear with us through the more mundane portions. It will give you something to compare the cool stuff to. And if you try, you might find small things like someone who built a monarch butterfly to decorate his lawn for no other apparent reason other than beauty. That's pretty cool too. And on a bike, you don't miss anything. Keep your eyes open, use your imagination. Cool is where you find it.
Hardly any traffic here.
I did not hear you, man.
Hardly any traffic here.
No, traffic is very well. It's well after. It's already now Chicago time. It's a little after 7 o'clock. We might be in Indiana time. I'm not sure.
Poor May. She was trying so hard not to spoil Bill's trip. He mentioned he was looking for a gas station, but what he didn't pick up on was she said she was praying for a gas station. Now, let's see. He started with a full tank of gas, and he says he's comfortable until about 150 miles. He said they've gone 122 miles, so that means he really has to stop soon. What he doesn't know is he really has to stop soon.
Well, I knew it would happen. I knew she'd screw this thing up. You need the bathroom.
Yes.
May, didn't you promise me that...
No, I said with the exception of stopping at the bathrooms.
So there's no doubt about this, you got to stop.
Yes.
And I should consider myself lucky you waited until I needed gas.
That's right.
Anyhow,
Get two things at one time.
and you had to put a sweatshirt on because you're getting a little cold.
Yes.
And because it's getting dark and a little cold, right?
Yes.
Okay, are you freezing or is it just a little cold?
Just let it cold.
Just a little cold. You need more clothes? We got a sweatshirt now.
No.
No? Okay, well, we'll see. By the time she gets done with the bathroom and all that, we'll see. We're about, in fact, I'll tell you, interesting little side note. This gas station we're stopping at, I was really surprised. I was kind of keeping an eye out for a gas station, and all of a sudden, it was like deja vu all over again. Here's the same gas station I stopped on the the Ohio trip, the exact same station. So apparently it pops up at about the right time. So in any event, we're filled up with fuel now, but then May announced to me, right?
Right, I'm going.
You're going. She's go ahead. I mean, she really wants to go.
I don't know why guys never seem to have to go, but I felt better and was ready to ride. We'd travel a little over 130 miles and average 42 miles per gallon. Bill said that was good for a bike of this size, fully loaded, 2 up. Whatever that means, with a full load of fuel, we were on our way.
All right, that's it. We're all gassed up. It's about 8 o'clock Chicago time, 8 o'clock at night Chicago time. I'm not sure, but I think May used the washroom twice. Can't hear you, May. No, I think while I was distracted there, I think you snuck back in again. Are you sure? Okay, she says no. Louder, May. She says she was trying to head for McDonald's and decided not to. I'm sorry, May, you gotta yell. One more time. One more. I didn't hear you. Oh, she's saying the sweatshirt and gloves are really helping her. What we're going to do now is we're taking 31 south to the Indianapolis area, where we'll try to find a motel. I think we should be able to find plenty of them in the Indianapolis area.
As it turned out, they proceeded south from the gas station until Bill didn't feel he could see well enough to maintain a reasonable speed. When they got to Kokomo, Indiana, it was time to find a motel and get a good night's sleep.
We're in Kokomo, Indiana. I didn't quite make it all the way to Indianapolis last night, and the reason was, quite frankly, and it's actually something that's a good tip for people that are traveling by motorcycle. When you're on these secondary highways, and let me say something about the secondary highway. Yeah, that's good, May. Just leave them there. When we're traveling on these secondary highway systems, they don't have the lighting that the interstates do, and they also don't have barricade fences that keep the animals off the highways. So 31 is a beautiful, beautiful road, and I just want to say that it's silky smooth, the scenery is beautiful, and all that. Problem is, the darker it got, the more difficult it was to see anything, and what you always have to be concerned about is animals. May, come on over here, please. What you always have to do is you have to be concerned about animals jumping onto the road, you know, deer and things like that. And the darker it gets, come on, May, you don't have to stand over there. Come on over here. You have to be concerned about the animals. And I was realizing I had dropped from 70 miles an hour to 65 to 60 and down to 55 miles an hour, and we were making slower and slower progress, and it was getting really, really pitch dark. And I finally decided, when we got into Kokomo here, I spotted a nice motel, and I says, okay, I think it's time to stop. We're not going to push it for the day. Then I found out why. We don't know what time it is, do we, May?
No.
It was very, very confusing. I got the room, went into the thing, unloaded the stuff, went into the room, checked on the television, and it looked like the television said, like, what, 9 o'clock or something, right?
Right.
Yeah, the television said 9 o'clock, and yet
My watch said 10:30.
your watch said 10:30. We still had that from Chicago time. The television saying it was like 9 or 9:30. Okay, let's get something to eat. We go to the restaurant, and the restaurant clock, we said, in fact, May pointed out, I said, boy, we're glad it's not that time. The restaurant said 11:30, right?
Yes.
And we didn't stay at that one, went to another one. I said, wait a minute, that clock says the same thing. So we find, anyhow. So apparently there's all kinds of time changes here in Indiana that I don't quite get. But the reason it was so pitch dark, it was 11:30 at night by the time we got done. So that was enough traveling for one day. Anyway, we are starting out today here. This is, what's today? Friday, right?
Yes.
Friday, and hopefully we're going to get to our destination tonight. We're in Kokomo, Indiana right now, and I thought the reason, another reason I picked Kokomo is because our good friend George Gora, the Toys for Tots George Gora, you all know him, Northside coordinator. He comes down to Kokomo every year. He's a Vietnam veteran, and they have a veterans motorcycle group that gathers here. So when I saw Kokomo, somehow that clicked in my mind, and I said, pretty cool. I think we're going to stop in Kokomo. I'm struggling long enough trying to see animals jumping out on the highway. Anyhow, but are you enjoying it, May, so far?
Yes, I remember Kokomo from the Beach Boys.
What did the Beach Boys have to do with Kokomo?
They recorded a song called Kokomo.
Okay, you remember one I don't remember. And I saw something else on the road last night I would like to stop at. Something called Grissom Air Museum. Did you see that?
Yes, Gus Grissom.
Okay,
astronaut.
All right, I don't know what it is, but if we get a chance on the way back and we come back this way, I want to stop by there. That looked pretty cool, but it was already way, way too dark. Anyhow, we're getting loaded up here now, and by the way, I discovered a good reason to have somebody with you. Normally, like I've said before, I do this all by myself, and I've got the bad back, and part of what I'm doing on this trip is testing my back. Feels kind of okay today. It's a little sore. Feels kind of okay today, but I had somebody to bring down the saddlebags, right, May?
Yes.
You were struggling.
Definitely.
They're heavy.
Very heavy.
Well, I thank you for your effort. Anyway, it's a joke, folks. We set it all up. I didn't have her dragging those heavy things out here by herself.
Yes, he did.
No, I
Yes,
did.
he
No,
did.
I did not.
Bill was very pleased with how well the hard bag system was working. We experienced no difficulties, and I was impressed with how easy they were to unload and load. I never thought about it, but I suppose it's not a good idea to leave your stuff outside on the motorcycle all night.
pretty cool. But you know, we still don't know where we're going. I know it's a rally for the Suzuki GSX1100G motorcycle. But where? Indianapolis? That sounds like a possibility. Perhaps he'll tell us in the next segment. It's time to get back on the road.
All right, we're leaving Kokomo, Indiana now. Well, I guess more accurately, we're leaving the motel. It's a little weird. We seem to drive through the bank to get there. I guess it works all right. Yeah, let's see how I can figure this out. I got to get on 31 going south. I think it works like this. Yeah, that should do it. I'll feel better as soon as I see a 31 sign.
As we begin day 2 of our adventure and we're waiting for the traffic light, let's take a moment to review day 1. We left the Chicago area near O'Hare Airport mid-afternoon yesterday and took Manheim Road south until we jumped on I-294 and headed toward Indiana. We turned south on 394 until we got to Route 30 where we headed east. We took 30 east across Indiana until we got to Route 31 where we headed south and got as far as Kokomo, Indiana about 11:30 in the evening. We begin day 2 by heading south out of Kokomo on Route 31 as soon as the light changes.
Going south to Kentucky?
Yes. I just want to double check here. May, watch for a 31 sign. Ah, there it is. I see it. Okay, we're good. 31 south. This is correct.
While I'm in Kokomo, Indiana, and thinking about my friend George Gore, let me take a moment to remind you about the Chicagoland Toys for Tots motorcycle parade held annually on the first Sunday in December. You don't have to be a biker to participate. There is room for everyone who would like to make sure every child has a Christmas. We would love to see all of Chicago turn out to cheer the bikers on the first Sunday in December. It's on Western Avenue between the Dan Ryan Woods on the south side and Foster Avenue on the north. We'll see you there.
I heard May mention Kentucky. Can that be right? They're going all the way to Kentucky on a motorcycle? We'll have to find out next week because we're out of time this week with only enough left to acknowledge the fine work of our award-winning production team, including Tom McGrady, Art Lauschat, our webmaster Frank Barbalace, and Sue Casanta. Special thanks to JBTV's Jerry Bryant. Music is created for us by independent artists Roger Pauley and Jerry Herbert. Of course, we have to take a moment to thank the stars of this edition of Motorsports Unlimited. Janine Lauschat, May Chin, and our host, Bill Wildt. Me, I'm Samantha Bentley, wondering if a motorcycle road trip is really the delightful, carefree adventure it appears to be. I'll have to try it one day. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
This program made possible in part by support from ABC Auto Parts, located on Ashland Avenue at 138th Street in Blue Island, Illinois.
This program made possible in part by support from Bridgestone Firestone and your local Bridgestone Firestone tire retailers.
This program made possible in part by support from Copy That, located in the County Farm Plaza at County Farm Road and Army Trail Road in Carroll Stream, Illinois. This program made possible in part by support from PB Food Products, located on 47th Street at Western Avenue in Chicago, Illinois.
Motorsports Unlimited is produced by Bill Wildt, president of the Motorsport Advancement Crusade.
This program made possible in part by support from J.C. Whitney & Company, located just off I-80 at the Utica exit in LaSalle, Illinois.
This program made possible in part by support from Jimmy's Red Hots, located on Grant Avenue and Pulaski Road in Chicago.
This program made possible in part by support from the Chicagoland Toys for Tots Motorcycle Parade held on Western Avenue in Chicago, the first Sunday in December. Motorsports Unlimited was created to raise public consciousness, understanding, and appreciation of the motorsport community and their activities. You can contact us by email at msutv.com, or you can write to Motorsport, P.O. Box 66242, Chicago, Illinois, 60666. We enjoy hearing from our audience. Please let us know what you think.
Next week on Motorsports Unlimited, we continue our quest to find the gathering of the big G's. I know, I'm just telling May she's the one that's supposed to be waving to the other bikes, and I end up doing it all the time.
So that's it, another edition of Motorsports Unlimited and the lovely ladies of motorsports. And be with us next week because we'll have something real exciting. Bill Wildt's going to have the lovely ladies, and just about anything can happen right here on Motorsports Unlimited. Every week at this time, we bring you the best in motorsports. So be seeing ya. Bye-bye. And keep on rocking.